Hi, Rick Wagner here. I've been sending out Monday morning inspirational text messages to all my clients right to their phone. This has been going on for several years, and it takes me the majority of the day to send out over 250 texts. Then I disappeared. I'm down in New Zealand teaching classes on stress, anxiety, how to sleep, and I get complaints from my clients saying that they're not getting their text messages. So now I'm back, the world has changed, and so have I, and I'm here on YouTube. You don't have to be reading this anymore. You can listen to me or watch me on YouTube. You can still text me or comment below, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. And don't forget to click the subscribe button to keep you updated on my future videos. Thank you. So today I want to talk about expectation. The dictionary definition of expectation says, a strong belief that something will happen in the future. What? That's it? Nowhere in there does it say it's going to be difficult or complicated or a prodigious undertaking. Is that supposed to pave the way for us? Or is this a program that's been in our minds ever since we can remember that you have to work hard to get ahead, that you've got to climb that mountain and bash that door down, that nothing comes to you easily? Maybe that's our expectation. We have to work hard for that. Maybe we're blowing it way out of proportion. Maybe we're making a mountain out of a molehill. To what? To justify failure. To then say, see, I told you this was going to be hard. I told you this was going to be the result. Stop telling yourself this is difficult. Stop telling yourself you're not good enough. Stop telling yourself you don't deserve the good things that are coming to you right now. Even when good things come to us, do we even acknowledge it? Here's a client of mine. Something good happens and she says to me, well, we're just waiting for the other shoe to fall. What? So your idea of how the universe works is here, we're going to give you something good, and now we're going to screw that up and throw something bad just to balance it out. That's the universe's way of balancing things out? No! What did you ask for? You asked for something good to come along, it came along, and then you asked for something bad. So when it happens, you can say, see, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. But you asked for it. Why would you even do that? So when something good comes along, just say thank you. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Don't think it's going to mean something else that it's not. Just say thank you. Take a breath and let it go. So the reason we're having this conversation is because a client of mine last week was procrastinating on a major job deadline. And I asked her why. I said, what are your expectations? The expectation is that it's going to be difficult, and if she fails, they're going to have a lower opinion of her. It might affect her job and income, and creating a whole, again, mountain out of a molehill. She also said, oh, I work better under pressure. So it's like we have this little area of our brain that gets condensed and like, oh, all of a sudden everything's firing together here. I can do this now because I'm under pressure. No, you've always had the capability of doing it. They wouldn't have asked you to do the job if you weren't capable of doing it. So you create this whole thing of making it more than it is. It goes back to one of my favorite Buddhist sayings is, what is the sound of one hand clapping? So when I ask clients that, they go, oh, no sound. I said, no sound is no sound. What is the sound of one hand clapping? The answer is the sound of one hand clapping is the sound of one hand clapping. It isn't anything more or less than that phrase. So don't interpret things to be more than they are. The job is the job. The relationship is the relationship. What are your expectations? Keep your expectations with the facts and don't blow it out of the water. Keep it simple, keep it real. So we have premeditated perceptions of how things are supposed to be. I see my clients trying to get ahead, but they're like holding their fist behind them. And I say, what are you holding on to? It's like, oh, that's how it always worked. This is the past. This is how it worked in the past. This is how I got to where I am right now. So it must work again. And I said, well, how is it working for you now? Times are changing. Maybe it's time to let go of that. Try something different. The old method might not be the same way. We always want to fix, force, and control everything. How are you going to fix, force, and control the world today? You can't do it. You're just going to end up in a knotted mess. It can't. You need to take care of yourself. You need to allow things to come to you. We need to chill and relax. I share these client stories with you because I want you to know that we're not going through this alone. Even though there's a lot of separation right now, we're not going through this stuff alone. We are all connected. There's only so many life stories on the planet. We all have it in a different voice and a different perspective, but we're all going through something. We need that connection, that communication, and acknowledgement that there's somebody else out there that gets it. That there's somebody else out there that can help me through it. So we made it this far. Do you realize every fearful thought or doubt that you've had has dissipated and is no longer there? Our thoughts come into our consciousness, become part of our awareness, and then dissipate, dissolve, and disappear. And then another thought comes in. In fact, that thought that you're thinking right now, if I come back to you in 5 minutes and ask you, do you remember what that thought was? Chances are you won't, because there's a whole slew of them coming through. Can we reprogram all of this? Can we make it easier? Yes, we can. So what we do is we overthink, and we create the worst case scenario in the fight or flight part of our brain. The best way to describe this, and with all of my new clients, I always tell them in our first session, stay hydrated, get yourself a journal and write in and watch one of the top 10 TED Talks of all time. Jill Bolt Taylor talks about stroke of insight. She's a neurologist. She woke up years ago with a brain hemorrhage in the left half of her brain. So instead of running and getting help, she sits down with a pen and says, oh, this is interesting. I'm going to take notes. Oh, look at that. She's studying her brain from the inside out because she's a neurologist. Oh, look, I'm losing functions here. So it's quite fascinating. She comes out on stage with the brain. It's got the two halves connected by the corpus callosum. The right half is everything right here, right now, the air around you, the sound of my voice, looking at the media that you're watching right now, where you're sitting or where you're standing. That information travels through the corpus callosum into the left half of your brain, which is your history. The history and this information creates your fight or flight. What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen here? Where's the fear going to come from? That's our self-defense mechanism. It's not really meant to terrorize us, even though it does. But it's going to put it out there saying, well, that could happen. We could have an earthquake right now. And what would you do? Well, 99% of it's not going to happen, but it's letting you know that. So it's wonderful about her video. It's about 12 minutes long. Please watch it if you can. I've seen it about 40 times. She's explaining to the audience what happens as she starts to lose the left half of her brain. The voice that's always criticizing, the criticizing voice gets softer and softer and disappears. There's no history. There's no future. She's only connected to everything right here, right now, and around her. And she said, what a wonderful place that was. There is no fear. Fear is an emotion of the future. Right here, right now. It's a wonderful place to be. She was able to get help. She wrote a book about it. She was on Oprah. But the TED Talk is really spectacular. At the end of the show, she's on stage and she has a diagram of the brain. So she said you have a moment-to-moment choice of standing in the left half of your brain, in worry and self-doubt and all of these emotions, or taking a step to the right and being connected to everything right here, right now. It's a wonderful place to be. And it's part of the first steps that we're going to talk about in the future about controlling the brain, controlling the thoughts, keeping your feet on the ground, keeping us all sane. Okay, let's stop for a second and just take a deep breath. I want you to just acknowledge everything that you have right now, your health, your family, the roof over your head, the food in the refrigerator, the fact that your friends are only a short text message away, Yes, we've all been through a lot. It's been disorienting. We feel like we're on a hamster wheel and we're spinning and spinning and spinning, and maybe it's just time to get off the hamster wheel. Get our feet back on the ground. Start using our right half of our brain, our creative half, create a better future. So what I'd like you to do is put your energy into where you're going and allowing things to come to you. Allowing is the hard part, because it's the part we don't see. Subconsciously, years ago, it affected our self-worth, our self-esteem, our value. What is our value? Were we taught at some point that we don't deserve good things to happen? Has it affected our self-esteem? Does it prevent things from coming to us? Are we not allowing things to come to us because we don't deserve them? I want you to just be aware of this. If this is something in your programming, if this is something in the back of your brain, I want you to grab that thought, throw it out the window. It doesn't have anything to do with who you are now. It has no power or purpose here. There was something that was planted there a long time ago. You do deserve good things to come to you. You do have self-esteem. You do have value. So let that go. That doesn't have to be any part of our programming. So in summary, we can only hold on to one thought at a time. I know it seems like we're herding cats, but just one thought at a time. We can only hold on to one emotion at a time. If you're holding on to fear, there's no room for gratitude. But if you're holding on to gratitude, there's also no room for fear. So one of the last things I want to leave you with is something that's on my computer right now on a Post-it note. It's very simple. It might seem too simplistic. It's not complicated enough for you. I want you to copy it down on a Post-it note and stick it on your computer, and every time you go to do something, I want you to say it out loud. This is easy. I can do this. I know. You're already overthinking it. What do they tell you not to do? Stop it. Take a Post-it note, write it on there, and stick it on your computer. And every time you go to do something, say, okay, this is easy. I can do this now. Why? Because I'm not overcomplicating it. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not making it harder than it is. Again, this is easy. I can do this now. Okay? And let me know what happens. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really sincerely appreciate it. And until next time, stay healthy.